welcome back to our second video here at WR Gun Garage. Please give us a follow, like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on those bell notifications.
Also follow our Instagram page, WR Gun Garage, where we have weekly reels, and also we're gonna have weekly shorts in our YouTube channel as well. So you'll have a YouTube video once a week and a reel once a week as well. So get ready, everybody sit tight. We're gonna be going over today on our AR-15s, a budget build and a mid build. Thank you for being here today, and let's get to it. Hey everybody, I'm going to be going over my AR-15 budget build. I'm going to start from top to bottom. In the top, it's going to be my Kaw Valley linear compensator. It cost me $40. I enjoy it. It's great, especially when you're going in the range, right? All the the gun smoke goes to the front and everybody's happy. At the bottom, we have a Magpul tripod. Cost me $85. Love Magpul, highly recommend them. For my grip, I do have a generic grip. Cost me $30. It does its job. It's not the greatest. But like I said, it does its job. Starting off for the upper receiver. The upper receiver is Palmetto Armory. So included the barrel, included the BCG, included the charging handle. I chose this option for the reason that I wanted to make my own build, but I wasn't too confident buying every component alone. So I went, let's go this route. It's cheap, and I felt like I'd rather spend the money in ammo, training, right, getting used to the weapon. Maybe down the line I will be making a new build, a higher budget build, right? But at that time I felt like this was the best route for the money for me. Some of the cons of this build: it does get hot. It is a 16-inch barrel. In California, you gotta have a minimum 16-inch barrel for your rifle, right? You can't have a flash hider in California, sadly. So going over on my red dot, I do have a Holosun 403B. It was inexpensive, $100. It's not the greatest, but it does its job. I do enjoy the Holosun magnifier. Really enjoy it. It was $180, I believe. So in total, red dot and magnifier, a total of $280, right? So it does its job for a budget build. Going down into my lower, right? For my lower, I have an Anderson manufacturer, lower mil-spec AR-15, right? Inexpensive. I believe it was like $70. It was inexpensive for what I paid, right? It does its job. So going back into the laws that we got to follow here in California. In order for you to have a AR-15 in California, you're either gonna have a fixed magazine. Fixed magazine means you can't do this. You can't take out your magazine. Mine is a featureless rifle, so I am able to just press the release button and the magazine comes out. But the con is you can't have a pistol grip, right? So I have to have a featureless grip here in California in order to release my magazine normally, right? Also, another con is my stock camo. It has to be fixed, sadly. If you want a normal pistol grip and a normal stock, you're gonna have to go the fixed magazine route. So that means that your magazine won't be coming out with a split of a button, right? In order for your magazine to come out, your upper receiver has to come out first, right? Usually a lot of people, what they use is like a Kingpin 2, where you click on the magazine and it detaches also the upper receiver in order for you to release your magazine. But like I said, I went with the featureless route. If I can change something from this budget build, instead of having this featureless grip, I would choose the Juggernaut featureless grip. It costs $80, a little bit more, but it just feels normal. I would say that's something that I would change, right? Overall, this build was inexpensive. It does its job. I think it cost me no more than $900, including all the accessories, right? The iron sights, the scope, right? Everything, cost me just $900. At the end, if I can change anything, I would say what I would change is just change the grip and maybe the compensator. But that's pretty much it. I feel like for a budget build starting off, training, I feel like this was a great route for me. We're going to have William now, who's going to go over his mid-tier build. And take it away, William.
Hey guys, I'm back. So today we're gonna be talking about my AR-15 mid-tier build. It was my first build actually, so we're gonna be talking about all the stuff I got from Juggernaut Tactical, So the first thing I got was my AR-15 free float handguard. I want to say I probably spent around $221, included getting the burnt bronze Cerakoted on it. The next thing I got was my billet upper receiver, also burnt bronze. I got it Cerakoted from Juggernaut Tactical. and I want to say that costed me around $225. The next thing I got was my Lord Receiver from Juggernaut Tactical, which in burnt bronze, which gave me the idea to do my build in burnt bronze. I really like the burnt bronze color, and I want to say that costed me around $228. So I thought that was good. Then the next thing I got from Juggernaut Tactical was the featureless grip, which was probably like $100. So it wasn't too bad. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is my Landtag Dragon my muzzle brake that I got in. I want to say that costed me around 151. Love the muzzle brake. It's good. If you want to see that dragon flame that shoots out of the muzzle brake, you could obviously see it better at night. And if you just like the loudness, it sounds good. Sounds powerful. So definitely I'll be getting another one for my next build. The next thing I got was my Criterion barrel. I believe I got it for around $400. It's a fluted barrel. It's really good. Everybody at the range always tells me that it's a really good barrel, especially because it's my first build and I put a pretty good barrel on it, So definitely love the Criterion barrel. Shoots good. No complaints whatsoever, So the next thing I'm going to talk about is my 6 Hour Micro Juliet combo that I had gotten. Want to say I spent around $400 on it. The red dot sights are clear. The magnifier is amazing, and the red dot is just really good, And the good thing about these scopes are, especially with 6 Hour, and this is why I like 6 Hour, is that if you don't want to use a magnifier, you just push this one button and you can just use your red dot. Real easy. And if you want to shoot farther away to 300 to 600 yards, you got your magnifier and it does the job, So I would say it's a pretty good for my first rifle. I enjoy the scopes, And I spent around $400 on that one. And then the next thing I had spent was my Lord Receiver kit that I bought from Plamato State Armory. And I want to say that one costed me around maybe $125. Honestly, I would say this was the hardest part about building the AR because this was my first build and I had never done it. So getting into the springs, the trigger, the safety, and setting all that, it took some time. I did mess up a couple of times, but with the help of some friends, they really showed me how to do it. So now I feel more comfortable from when I'm ready to build my next AR, So I thought that was a really good learning experience, while building your own AR, you get the full effect of learning how to do it, So it was definitely a good learning experience, but it was hard. So the next thing I got was my Magpul bipod. I want to say I spent around $85. You could probably get it on Amazon for a little bit cheaper. Sometimes they have deals, So it does its job. I've shot to 500-600 yards. It stays still, steady. It's a really good bipod, Especially for my first build, I felt like I didn't need something more expensive because I know there are better ones out there. I just thought this was perfect for my budget. Then the next thing I got was my gas tube. That one I spent around $16. Then the next thing I had gotten was my Andrew Corp bolt carrier. I got it in gold. Pretty cool. I love the gold. It looks sick. Everybody always likes it. And honestly, it does its job. And I probably spent around $160. I thought it was really good. And it also makes the gold and the burnt bronze. It just makes it look sick. And then I want to say when I did build this build, I bought 3 mags, 10-round mags. Probably spent around $45 to $50, really worth it. The next thing I bought was my gas block, which was $30, nothing too crazy, just something to stay in the budget range. And then I would say the last thing I got was the rail scales. This Magpul, $20, just to make it look better. And then you also have a better grip, And I would say, I would say overall this was a good build. I want to say the final price was around $2,287. I think I did a little bit overbuild for my first build, But honestly, at the end of the day, I thought it was really worth it, I just love my first build, If there's anything I would take back, nothing on it. I love it. Pretty badass build.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching our video. At the end of the day, you're going to make your decision where you're at based on your budget. My decision was I wanted more training starting off before I spent more money on a better AR, but I think I made the right choice, and you're going to make your decision where you're at the end of the day, right? For William,
I mean, honestly, I thought about starting off with the real budget build, but then I started looking at the prices, and then I started looking at other ARs, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just try to build my first AR, and I decided to go with a little bit more expensive stuff compared to the budget build. Nothing wrong with the budget build. Budget build is very good to start off to learn, to get your techniques on how to shoot and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with the budget build. It's doing its job, but I just felt like for me, it was more like I like the look of it. I like the good optics. I like the burnt bronze, and that's what it was more for me.
Hey,
But then
brother,
again,
where do you think they should subscribe at?
WR Gun Garage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Stay tuned for this week. On Wednesday, we'll be uploading a short on our Instagram page at WR Gun Garage. Peace.